Going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of ITUTv podcast, man. We're going to get into some economics today. I am joined today with my brother, Michael Franz. Brother, welcome back again. It's been a minute.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
Man, glad to have you. If you're just joining us, it's your first time, make sure you hit like, hit that subscribe. You're going to get a lot of good information tonight. I do want to give a shout out to our students that was on the last couple of episodes. Man, they gave great talks and great explanations, just showing the growth of what we do here and how we've helped traders get from nothing, not knowing anything, to now getting to a profitable standpoint, getting their minds geared up to be traders and understand the information being presented, and just as well be independent of their own methodologies. More importantly, right? We don't want to babysit here. We want to get these guys geared up and ready to go to fish, right? Teach a man to fish, it lasts a lifetime. So with that being said, I just want to show my love and appreciation to those brothers as coaches. You know, it looks really good that they're making these leaps and bounds over the last year and a half for sure.
Bro, I haven't even had to really even say anything. Like from what I bring to the table, they've been kind of just seeing everything on their own and whatnot. It's been great.
Yeah, yeah, it's fantastic, man. And going from Rise, having our Rise event earlier this year, and they'll talk about that day in and day out, that set the tone for them this year, from the information they gathered. So I appreciate those brothers doing what they needed to do and stepping up to the plate.
Mm-hmm.
For,
Facts.
for sure. Now, man, it's been crazy already, right? Top of this year has been absolutely wild. Where are your thoughts at with how the economy is, things going on with Trump, oil, the Strait? Where are you at with things? I know you've got a lot on your mind.
So I don't know. Like I kind of feel like there's a whole. I mean, you know me. I always look at something from a different perspective. As far as the market goes, this is just a Trump market right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the funny thing is he gives us the answers every time he speaks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we know, like if you know how war and conflicts go, we know that nothing is easy in that process. And in fact, 9 out of 10 times when the sides actually have a ceasefire, it means somebody decided to bring down their, I guess, their requirements to end, and someone's going to sacrifice something, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you ever had a war that literally ends in with a hi? You know what? I'm going to shake your hand. You shake my hand. We'll go the other way. How about that? It never
Rare.
happens, right? Somebody's always sacrificing something. So war and conflicts are never, ever easy. But yet this man came out and literally told us, oh, everything is good. Everything is good. Like right before he decided to do some shit, right? Everything is good. And we know it's not. So guess what happens? You get people to pump into the market a little bit, push towards maybe a certain price you're looking for, and then the actual action happens. And boom, there it goes. Like,
Yeah.
I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, you've seen the messages that were in Discord. Bro, it was so clear that some of the, when I was looking at the charts and I'm like, look, if you guys are going to enter right now, take it down to here. Enter right here, take it down to here, right? And it was so clear. It was crazy. I'm just sitting there
Smooth.
like, oh my gosh. Like you could, when you get onto that in that position, you're just sitting there like, oh my gosh, kind of like a crazy high, because it's like, I understand it. I see what actually happens, right? When you're on that side of the market, and there's no question where it's like, okay, look, I understand this, but he's saying this, so I'm going to do this,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just works out. Like when you start understanding it, it's crazy. But welcome to the Trump market. This is where people are supposed to be making money.
Yeah. Yeah. We're talking
There's a
about
lot
the
of people that still are just.
easiest sell setups that we've seen in these last probably 2 months. Easy, man. It was
Yeah.
structured perfectly. Bearish candles was perfect. Retests
Mm-hmm.
were beautiful. Like you could not ask for a better market to be a part of if you're with the Bears, for sure.
Right. And they keep us distracted with all the other bullshit, though. You know what I'm saying? So, like, there's a lot of people that are out here complaining and this, that, and the other. Like, there's something that I kind of do want to touch on, because I want people to understand something here, like how the media influences everything, right? Just to touch on it real quick, we recently had the third No Kings protest.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to understand something here. The, America does not have a king. If America had a king, you couldn't have that protest. So the protest in itself nullifies the whole meaning of what this protest is even for, right? Does let's play both sides of the coin though. Does this man love his power? Absolutely. Is he an arrogant individual? Absolutely, right? But what has he done to me personally that's affected me in a negative outlook? I don't know him personally. So look, for me, as long as you're looking out for my pockets, right? Creating an economy that I understand there are going to be some sacrifices again, even locally, right? Not just in war, but there's some certain sacrifices that I have to accept for other certain things based upon my priorities, right? Mm-hmm. My priorities are to protect my family, right? Just like a military is supposed to protect a country. So am I upset at the conflict? No, because I'm looking at what could happen on the outcome of what is necessary for this, right? Like I said, how many times you ever had two countries come to the table with conflict and literally shake each other's hand and say, yep, I'm going to do what you want to do. Yep, you're going to do what I want to do. And we're going to just go both ways. No, it doesn't work like that, right? So people are protesting the conflict. If you understood what the conflict is going to do, you might have a different view on it, right? Sometimes these things are necessary. And we just have to have faith in the sense that our military is going to do what they can to protect us, right?
Yeah, I want to ask on that specific note, because most recently we know we got what's going on with the Strait and him trying to get the Strait open. Now, if they continue to keep the Strait closed, what are the damaging effects that we face in the economy due to the Strait staying closed?
Well, the Strait is technically open. Over the weekend, it had the most traffic that it had in the past 3 weeks. 21 different ships had come through, right? But it wasn't necessarily open for American transports, right? So that's what they're going to do. They're going to try and affect our pockets by doing this, because what do you see happening with gas? Which I can touch on gas in a second. I think it's a bunch of bullshit the way that it's all working. I think it's an excuse. But at the same time, what happens is supposed to be the outcome is where American tankers can't get through for delivery, or maybe Venezuelan. None of these tankers can get through based upon American trade. So guess what? Our gas goes up because supply is going to be affected in the long term, right? So to add to what your question was, based upon how it's going to affect our economy, is we're going to probably see gas stay a little bit higher. And I also think that that's a tool for what we have coming up, which are midterms, right? The midterms, and then within 2 years, depending on how long this whole thing lasts, it's going to affect the next election, period, right? Because what do you see happening from the mainstream media right now?
Panic.
Right, not just panic, but remember those Joe Biden stickers? Hey, I did that, and people were putting them on gas
With
pumps.
the gas pumps, yeah.
They're doing it now with Donald Trump, right? There's a difference, though, between what happened then and now, right? Ours is based upon it. People that may not believe this, but it's based on progression. The whole thing is to have, if you want me to skip all the way to the end and fill it in here in the middle, the whole ending result of this situation is to affect China and Russia, but it's to bring them to a table to create almost like what is considered as a unified power between the three big powers of the world: the US, China, and Russia. So you know the saying, like, you don't have to like me, but we have to work together, right?
Yep.
It's one of those type of things. That's why it seems like, from a liberal perspective, that Donald Trump is friends with Putin or trying to become friends with Xi. It's not necessarily that that's the case, but if we're going to create this unified power between these three countries, instead of being, individual, when you put them together, look what happens. When you put things together, you get Voltron, right?
Right.
How was Voltron made for those that are from the 80s and 90s? All these pieces came together and boom, we made one big robot.
Yeah.
For those that are 90s babies, it would be like the Power Rangers, right?
Y'all should know. Come on, 90s kids. We was here
Right.
for the transform. Come on now.
So it's like in that case, I don't know what's supposed to happen with that unified power though.
Okay.
Because there are pros and cons to having those things. But how do you get these countries to the table to actually have this conversation? And that's what this is kind of about. And I kind of feel like I saw this random post. It was crazy. And I think I posted it in Discord that broke the whole thing down. And I just sat there and dissected it for a while. And I was like, holy shit, this makes a lot of sense. So if this is what we're doing is we're attacking the oil provider for China and also Russia. Russia gets some of theirs from Iran, if I'm not mistaken. Then you're hitting them in their pockets from energy sources, right? They need gas like we do. Oil is used for heat, right? So you hit them in a position that hits them financially, and they're going to turn around and do the same thing for us. And it's crazy because it's all over the same thing, oil, right? If we're going to stop you from getting yours, right, they're going to stop us from delivering ours. And why is it important instead of not getting ours, then more than deliver, is because the world outside of Iran and a couple other countries, Iran is the primary one, which is also a factor in this. They don't settle in US dollars. So there's multiple things here. We're trying to get two countries to a table by cutting off their supply. We're also trying to get Iran to become on the central banking system, which is going to allow them and force them to settle their Iranian oil exchanges in US dollars, which completely boosts our economic dollar. Right? So whenever you sit here and you hear from the mainstream media, oh, we have a war. All he wants to do is this. All he wants to do is this. No, there's probably three other reasons as to why he wants to do this. It's not what you think it is. Oh, but he's killing innocent children. He's killing innocent families. You know, I had this conversation with my family the other day, and it's crazy because my nephew literally just joined the Marines.
Hmm.
He deploys for camp on August 17th.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Young individual, but wants to, for some reason, he got the bug in his ass to go become part of the military. So I have this conversation because some of my family is like, oh, if we do this, all he wants to do is kill this whole country. He wants to obliterate this whole country. He's going to kill innocent people, and that's not good. You know what? The thing that comes with war, because we know these guys had nuclear weaponry, right? And we stopped that. But the more and more tensions escalate, it becomes a you or me type situation. So the way I described it was this is like, look, I don't want to die from being a war casualty. But if you put me against somebody else, where it's like, hey, it's gonna be me or you based upon these individuals, unfortunately, it sucks. I'm gonna prefer that you be sacrificed over me.
Right.
That's just life, right?
I mean, it's a
It's
two-sided coin, and war has been going on for multiple centuries now. So
right.
there's always casualties in war, and the escalation of said war, it brings in the local community, unfortunately. It depends on who's winning. You know, if we were losing and they were on our soil, guess what? Families and kids would be getting hurt just as
And
well.
that's my point exactly. That's my
Yeah.
point exactly. So it's almost like we have to get to them first before they get to us,
Right.
right?
Right.
And when it comes all down to it, I would guarantee if anybody, your inner voice is going to tell you, I would prefer it you over me.
Hmm.
And that's not necessarily being selfish at all. That's just surviving, right?
Right.
Our military is the best military in the world. We know that. So it makes me wonder sometimes why people want to pick fights with us, right? or why they want to continue them rather than sit here and have a conversation and try and resolve things. And
Right.
it's crazy because you've also got Israel involved, right? Which that has a whole other side to it. But when it comes down to war and casualties, unfortunately, I'm sorry, it's going to be you before me.
Yeah, and I think like the reason, a big reason we get to live as well as we do in the States, and not us alone, right? Other superpower countries get to live so well in their communities is because they're winning the wars.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If they were not, you would not be driving happily to the grocery store, getting your eggs and bread with no problems. Whereas other countries are fending for theirs and having to go to the markets that are barely getting what they need, because of these war losses and casualties. So,
Well,
that's
the question is at the end, do I win? No, because it's an unfortunate outcome.
right.
But it's the outcome that I have to accept. Like when I sat here and I was having a conversation about my nephew, do I want him to go? No. Am I going to stop him? No. If that's what he really wants to do, then go do it. But here's the thing that I understand as well. I'm not going, right? So who in the whole world would I rather protect me than him? Right? There's some individuals that are built for this. I don't want to go to the military. I don't have military a love for military like that. I respect that there's a difference. Let me get this clear. I have a major, major, major respect. But I don't love the military because I can understand a whole different side of it.
Yeah.
And like I don't know. Some people may call me a coward for that because it's like, oh, you're gonna let somebody else go fight your fight. Look, if someone's willing to do it, I'm gonna stay here and provide a positive contribution to society other than that. So I'm not
Right.
just like that person, like let's say they are a construction worker and they don't want to work in an office. Same different thing.
Right.
Same thing,
Right.
right? I don't want to be part of the military. Okay, well, if you're working construction, why don't you go work in an office setting? Go work in a cubicle and tell me how you like it.
The blessing is you get the choice. You gonna get to this planet and it's gonna be like it was, and when you leave, there's still gonna be war. When you came in, there was war. When you leave this mug, there's gonna be war. At the end of the day, at least during these times and these days, you get the option to choose. Where
Funny,
there was a time where it was forced.
funny, right? And what type of government would you say where they're forced to do it?
Most traders already know what to do. That is not the problem. The problem is execution. Knowing the plan does not matter if you cannot follow it. Understanding the market does not matter if emotion makes the decisions. ITU Rise exposed the habits, beliefs, and patterns holding traders back. ITU Execute is where those patterns are replaced with standards. This is not motivation. This is not another strategy. This is professional execution training. At ITU Execute, traders build non-negotiable rules, structured routines, and decision frameworks designed to hold up under pressure. No shortcuts, no hype, just disciplined operation. If you are still searching for the next indicator, this is not for you. But if you are ready to operate like a professional, this is the next step. You already rose. Now it is time to execute. ITU Execute, Q1 performance.
Communist, yes, a
Right.
communist,
So
yes.
authoritarian or communist government, right? So people are out here protesting no kings. We have a choice to do these things. If we had a king, we wouldn't have a choice.
Yep.
Think about this, people. Think about this. So, like, this is what is so important for me within regards to this, because I'm like, it's so odd on our own streets,
Hmm.
but yet, with the way mainstream media pushes all this, rhetoric and all these narratives, and it's like, look at the facts. People like really look at the facts. If you want to see a socialist government that leads into communism, go look at New York. Go look at California. Do you really like if you really want the government to have their hand that far into your life, then by all means, go right ahead. Not me. Not me. Right? I want to be able to have choices. I want to be able to say, okay, do I have to do this? No. Do I want to do this? Yeah, sure. So there are some cons that come with that, which is less government assistance. So I feel like people latch onto these things because A, they're emotional, right? They're emotional heart strings that people pull. The media knows how to pull those heartstrings, and make you feel bad for everybody over there. Like, for example, when we bombed Iran the first time to start everything, there was a school that had like 86 children in it, right?
Mm.
Is that terrible that they died? Absolutely. But you guys want to blame Trump because he wants to kill children. No. What you're not realizing is that the Iranian government likes to use civilians as shields. So they did that on purpose, right? They're the front line, whether they know it or not. Now, who's wrong? If we had to do that to get to here to be safer, I'm sorry. Does it suck? Yes. Do I win? No. But again, are we safer for that? Yeah. Why don't you blame the Iranian government for choosing to actually be so inhumane that they choose to put kids in the school as their front line? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. It's like it's that front, the top layer that everybody pays attention to, where context it really matters, and nobody cares about hearing the context anymore. And I blame that on social media. Period.
I was
TikTok,
just about to say.
Vine, any of the reels, they're 30 seconds to a minute long. So
Yeah.
you're only getting top layer of things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which is doing what? Is dumbing us all down. Dig
Right.
into the context and do your own fucking research, guys. Like, look at these things and actually ask yourself, did I have maybe a misunderstanding, or did I put too much into mainstream media that it just made me emotional? And if you can do that and come out to a point where you say, you know what, I need to reevaluate, you've just grown. You've humbled yourself to say that you were affected incorrectly. And then you understand that you were used as a pawn,
Mm.
right? But people's pride is going to stop that from happening. At this
Yeah.
point now, it's literally pride that is going to ruin everything. Pride and arrogance, straight up. And what do we say ruins your trading?
Pride and
Pride,
ego.
arrogance.
Yeah.
It
Every
goes hand in
time.
hand. If
Yeah.
you if the pride level is too high, your arrogant level is too high, you're gonna stay broke. Period. And that's educationally across the board and financially across the board.
Yep.
Humble yourselves, people. Seriously, open up your fucking minds. Like, it's
And
crazy.
and this just shows the power in which the news has over a majority of the citizens, right?
Yep.
Their resource is a source that is set to control your emotions, to sway your thoughts and minds, and hope that you don't go do your own research, that you don't go get the list on both sides. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to war, it's on both sides of the table. Each one of them are showing up to shoot. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not a one-sided situation. So everybody is playing a role in the catastrophe that ruins the lives at hand. So as much as we want to point the finger just at Trump, it's at both sides, number one. But at the same time, we do got to protect our country. We do got to protect um, a lot of things that's going to affect how we live. Like even when it comes to with the straight, right? This is some things that have been said just throughout a lot of economic channels, right? So the strait stays closed, you're going to lead to the oil supply dropping. So now our gas prices go up. Shipping costs are going to cause products to rise. They're going to put the shipping cost on who? On y'all, on every consumer out here. Y'all got to pay that shipping when it gets, hefty. Inflation rising globally. Airlines, those profits are going to drop. Guess what? It's going to happen to your flight tickets. That price is going to rise. That's going to be on you too to have to pay for. Energy stocks are going to rise. So, I mean, that's good if you are in that sector for stocks, but if you're not, you're not going to take advantage of that. Consumer spending, that's going to go down. That's going to hurt us. Food prices, we already complaining about food prices as of today. You know what I mean? So if you want good numbers for your country and be able to afford the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, guess what? We got to get straight open, for us to move our traffic through just as well.
Right. I just don't. I mean, how can we force Iran to do that from a perspective of being as little aggressive as we can, right?
Mhm.
So what people have to understand is things like this take time. They're going to take time. So you're going to pay a little more at the gas pump? Yeah, you are. Is it going to continue going up? Probably. Did we vote for this? Maybe not this effect, but we voted for the result when it's all said and done.
Right. Because you only talk so long, right? We can only sit here at this table and try to have communication with Iran so long. And if they're not trying to play ball and we got to get our numbers right, this is
And
where
that's where
we.
the question comes into play. Like, what was it? It was Sunday. I think it was Sunday where he said, they have 48 hours to open it up. Otherwise, we're gonna obliterate their civilization. Everything that he says is a market move. Like I said at the very beginning, he said, "Oh, everything is great," and we know that it's not. So then, when something reacts to it, like he poked the bear with that. So all you had to do was expect to sell because there was going to be retaliation response from Iran,
Of
right?
course.
That was
Yep.
going to affect our economy. So all you had to do was just sell at that point because we knew everything wasn't good, right?
Mhm.
Do the opposite in a way of what he's saying. So if he's saying we're going to obliterate after 48 hours if you guys don't open up the strait, he actually threatened that. And in the 11th hour, he pulled it back because the market did what it needed to do
Mhm.
in that time frame. If you want to understand Donald Trump's moves, just watch the market because if you see corrections that need to be happening, he'll make them happen.
Mhm.
He will definitely
Quickly.
make them. So, like here's the other thing I was going to say in regards to oil. The oil shit is a bunch of bullshit, if you ask me. Because, yes, gas is going up. Does it need to go up? No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. Because we already have a massive amount of supply. It should affect the supply we're trying to move that we're gaining right now,
That we're trying to
right?
acquire, right?
Right. So the oil that we're acquiring right now is what should be affected, but it's actually applied to the gas products that get refined from the oil that we have already in reserve. So, yeah, you can look at gas prices as a way for companies to make money. It's an excuse. We know what it is, right?
Mhm.
So, yes, is it price gouging? Absolutely. But it's kind of like the terms, right? We're going to see the bigger effect of the term of Donald Trump's term in whoever's next because what he's trying to do is clean up the first term right before him, which all Biden did was just screw up a whole bunch of shit. So we're sitting here talking about inflation, this, that, and the other, where yes, we have a massive amount of oil. And this is why he wants to drill here. We don't have to do a lot of this stuff at that point, right? It's not about us acquiring oil for our stuff. It's about us, transporting and them spending in US dollars right now, right? That's what it's about. And so, the direct effect is like, well, he causes gas prices to go up and they're this high. They haven't been this high since Biden. Well, guess what Biden did? Biden literally gave up our whole reserve and shut off the Keystone pipeline in his first month of even being in office. That affects our actual supply. So, do you see the difference there? One affected our supply, and the other one just affects how oil is traded around the world in US dollars, which is causing it to go up. Two different things. We have
Completely
oil,
different game.
but two
Yeah.
different games completely. And it's like, understand what is going on here because our situation we're in right now is more temporary than what Biden's was. It's just up to Iran as to when we're going to end this, or unless we decide to just obliterate their whole country, like he's saying. Do I think that's going to happen? No. That was a market move because he's going to
Mhm.
pull back in the 11th hour of it and say, you know what? We're going to renegotiate,
Mhm.
right? You'll probably hear, oh, Iran called me and we're going to renegotiate, right? No, that's going to happen. And then it's going to come out with a whole new thing like he's using the tariffs exactly the same way, right? How often did you hear we're gonna tariff Canada 100%, and then all of a
100%. Yeah.
sudden, by the
Multiple
time it
times.
comes down, or even Mexico, by the time it
Yeah.
gets to that date, okay, we're only gonna do this much.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, it's a damn pattern. If you understand how he talks and what his goals are, look at what he says and how it affects the markets. Because yes, our stuff here is a sacrifice and a casualty sometimes, but if you know how to apply it to your knowledge here, you can actually not be hurt as bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure.
You know,
So,
people are waiting for gas to go down tomorrow, and I'm not. I'm not waiting for it to go down tomorrow. I might wait for it to go down the next few months, but not right now. It depends on what happens here. So I'm preparing for a higher gas price and being able to either limit my use of gas or get gas when I can get it cheaper, because there's certain areas, depending on where they're receiving it from. Like where I'm sitting here in Maricopa, Arizona, ours doesn't come from Texas, or it does come from Texas, where just north of me in a different county, it comes from California. So guess what? Your California prices are going to be a lot higher than your Texas prices. So my gas down here, which I'm only 20 miles away from the main city, right? Our gas is about 50 cents cheaper.
wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
So it's all about which company wants to be able to raise their prices. I mean, they're all raising them, but think about that. Like, that's also important. Where does the gas station that's right around the corner from your house get their gas? Because if they can tell you where they're getting their distributions from, if they say, well, ours comes in from California, you already know you're going to be paying a high premium for it.
Right. So you got to drive extra miles to go somewhere like where you're located to get cheaper prices. But then is that worth it, in the span of the distance you got to drive anyway to get it?
Right. In some aspects, it is. There's a gas station that when I hit Casa Grande, right, which is about 15 miles away, there's a gas station that was just selling it the other day for like 70 cents less than what I have it at mine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because they get theirs from a different distributor.
Wow.
So, I mean, it also depends, like, as far as distribution, which companies are putting more ethanol in the gas when they're doing the separation, right? The more ethanol that's in there, the quicker it burns, which is going to be the quicker you're going to have to fill up, which means the more you're going to be spending regardless of the price.
Right.
If my gas that I pay $4.50 with lasts longer than what I paid $3.50 with, right? Guess what? It's a wash.
Yeah.
So understand how the gas is made and everything. Like, there's more to it than just
face value.
The straight to shut down.
Right.
I'm going to be paying $8 a gallon. Also, look at your local government. People want to sit here and blame the situation on gas or on oil and gas going up, and they're living in California, where Gavin Newsom has had a whole bunch of stuff happen that raised gas prices, period, locally, to where it was already $6. You can't blame anybody but Gavin Newsom for that.
Right. It doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. So now there's a lot of talks. They pushing the fear out here when it comes to the fear of another global crash.
Hold on. We might have had something happen real quick.
Go ahead.
Hold on.
Some hot coming in.
Yep.
Let's see.
Because oil just dropped $6 in 10 seconds. I just watched
they're nearing a deal. They're already talking about nearing a deal. There you go.
Although it says Iran signals readiness for a long multi-front war as Trump deadline approaches. So the deal could be coming, but Iran is ready for whatever.
Yeah, see, Brent crude oil crashes over 5% for reports of U.S. and Iran nearing a deal. Iran threatens to target world's largest oil company, Saudi Aramco, and key pipelines if President Trump attacks Iranian power plants.
Look at that.
They're going to clean this whole thing up.
I'm telling you.
So you guys' fear of a global economic crash and all this stuff, man, it's a little high on the shelf.
Well, I mean, it literally is supposed to sound like the worst, like I said, to move markets. And when I'm looking here right now and I'm watching, I've got oil on the screen right next to me, and I see it go from what was it, just under 110 a barrel down to 104, 102. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I
something
mean, check
happened.
check indices open.
Oh yeah, it probably went up just now,
Wick down,
and it
straight
went
up.
up. Yep.
Yep, yep. So that
Yeah,
tells
look
you
at
a
that,
lot right there.
474 points.
DXY's falling off a cliff out the gate.
Yep.
So I think this sets the tone very well for what we're going to see the next 3 months.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's crazy. Look at that, guys. You had live
Live from the
situation
feed,
happen
man.
while we're on here as to how these things affect right away. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like it's almost like that was a perfect situation.
I mean, so spot on, guys. This is what we're looking at. So now, okay. So with that
Japan
happening,
225, bro. So speaking because of the deal or
yeah,
because of whatever they're discussing,
yeah.
you think if you think U.S. stocks just skyrocketed, bro, look at Japan 225. It's up 1,200 points.
Wow.
Yeah,
Massive rise. Massive
because
rise.
because that's the supplier for mainly China and Japan and Asia in general.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey guys, you getting it right here, man. Right here. Now
That's
we do have a couple of things coming up this week as far as the FOMC meeting. I think that's tomorrow. And
that's
then
just the minutes. So the
okay,
meeting minutes are a recap of what the meeting was about.
previously.
Yeah.
Okay. And then CPI end of the week and unemployment as well. And PPI month over month.
Um, Now, what's really, really, really important here is actually Thursday
Okay.
for the economy itself is
Yeah.
the GDP quarter over quarter.
GDP quarter final GDP is coming up. Yep, I see.
Yeah. So that right there, you're gonna want to, because if the GDP goes down, you're gonna start seeing unemployment go up. Like over time, you're gonna start like we don't want to see GDP go down. We want the gross domestic product to increase because that means we're being productive as a country, right? Which should be it should not only stay the same, but it possibly could go up because look at what happened on NFP last week. We tripled, like there were losses in jobs in the month before.
Yeah,
It was like
40 was
negative
like
100.
4.7%, I believe.
Yeah, it was like negative 133,000 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we had a positive 176. So you're talking about almost tripling what what was done the month before. So that could be a good sign for. I mean, granted, it's quarter over quarter, but we don't want to see it go down. I'd like to see it stay the same at 0.7. So if that's the case and we can get that, we're on a good way because now you're talking about a strength in the U.S. dollar that's not necessarily based on supply and demand. It's based on production, right? It's in that case, our dollar gets stronger in within our own border, then that's great. That means whatever's happening is actually doing its thing. We want to see that happen. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this all turns out. Wow, Japanese 225 is not stopping. That shit's up 1,500 points.
I don't think even any of them are going to. I mean, the deal
Yo,
gets set,
US
things
30,
gonna look great. I
US
want to get
30
in
is up
some longs myself.
650, pushing for 700 points, bro.
I want to get in some longs myself, but let's see.
Well, I feel like we're still
Well,
going
we
to
got
see it
some
come
gaps.
down.
It should balance out. Like by the time we're in our actual sessions, things should line up for us to get some good entries in for sure.
Yeah. I still feel like we're going to see some bearish movement on US 30. These are the reaches for retest
Right.
because I don't think this stuff is going to end anytime soon.
No, no, no. This is just one day, one reaction to the deal, right? That's the major thing investors were waiting for. Is
Right.
will things look good in the short term?
Right.
Gotcha. So
It's interesting. It's interesting the way that this is all going.
Now, how do you feel about with Powell, right? Powell's term is supposed to be ending in May, and president, of course, is pushing for a loyalist successor. You know how he is. How should we price in interest rate cuts with that coming up?
Um, well, so the expectations, if it's what's that? I forgot her name. The lady that Trump wants in.
Mm-hmm.
We can expect interest rates to start being looked at possibly a little bit differently than what Powell's looking for. Powell has been one of those guys that's like, I want to be absolutely sure before I do it. Where if you put somebody that Trump wants in there, she's going to do what he wants, right? Now, it's funny that this is what we're talking about of who Trump wants, because Trump wanted Kristi Noem. He ousted her, right? She's no longer the lead of Department of Homeland Security. There's a couple people that he has already removed from their position. The guy that was, man, what was his name? He was part of the, it wasn't ICE, it was actual immigration, right? That man, I mean, granted, when everything happened in Minnesota the way that it happened, that man didn't know how to address it. And he made himself look bad, right? But at the same time, these people that he wanted in their positions have all been let go. So I feel like whoever this is going to be temporary anyway. Probably gone before her term is even up. So it's probably just to get her in, just to say bring down these interest rates, and then we'll see where housing goes, because housing is getting even worse. That is still an underlying situation that has yet to be addressed in the housing market itself, because our credit has been overextended as Americans. Our financial positions have decreased from positive situations beforehand to where we're all going broke. It's funny. They just released out here. It said Maricopa. I saw it. It was like a Maricopa County public homes, like the public housing applications are now open, right? Mm-hmm. So you can go and apply. And I was looking at this like, okay, how did this change? Where is it at? And it's crazy because to be considered for public housing at like the absolute lowest, right? Your income has to be like 40 something thousand a year. I was like, wait a minute. When I started my job, when I worked at Chase back in 2003, I was making $38,000, and that was nowhere near poverty level, mm-hmm. Right? It's povertish now.
Wow.
Crazy. Like people that would have never qualified for it 10, 15, 20 years ago, they qualify for public housing these days, which means the government. Now, this could be two different things. It could be that, the end result is that our economic situations for everybody has changed drastically, right? We know that for a fact. But is this a way, because, this whole, let's talk conspiracy theory where we're talking about Nasara, right? Is this a way to keep government controlling things, right? People like their last ditch effort to say, okay, before, all this stuff goes away, we're going to see how many people we can let into government housing and government assistance and this, that, and the other, because at that point, you're going to affect more millions of people if you take it away, right? So there could be that. It could literally just be the basic fact that, yeah, we just need help right now, mm-hmm. as Americans. But why do we need help so badly is very important to know too, because our economy it doesn't happen overnight. I'm sorry, none of this happens overnight. When we were at a position where interest rates for homes were at the lowest ever, wages were actually on the increase, and then all of a sudden we bring in somebody who erases all that just because they don't like who did all the stuff before them, right? And you set a, like, this is the result of setting us back. And people need to understand that. If you voted for Biden, you put that man in our position where he wasn't even probably really even agreeing to anything anyway, right? It was the auto pen that was doing things. And we do understand that a socialist government leads to communism, and it leads to the government hand being bigger in the cookie jar, right? Government control. That whole 4 years and into Trump's first year have really, really hurt us. Like, and this is what I was screaming beforehand, because you can see it on the charts. You can see it in the economies when you're reading this, as long as you start putting things and events together with how these candlesticks work. You know, I did some research just to kind of get a little bit off topic here real quick. I'll come back. When we started trading, there were times like I would just go look at a chart just to look at a chart, right? But I would also go back as far as that chart would go to understand historic events and how it reacted. So you can see on the Dow Jones Industrial chart, that's not ran by Owanda. I think it's TV. It might be TVC. I'm not sure. But you can go back on the actual Dow Jones Industrial chart and you can see the Great Depression.
Right. We looked at that. I remember.
Yeah. I mean, you and I have sat there and we've done these type of researches multiple times, because it's very good to know how these things happen. So when you prepare yourself that way, and it's like, okay, the market is going to react this way. What am I being shown on the TV screen that's going to probably emotionally get us to come together or split us apart, that's going to make these things happen, right? It was clear what was going to happen if we had a liberal leader, but everybody was caught up in their feelings so much that it was better to not have Trump in office than it was to have him in for economic reasons. Okay. Which sucks, because now you set us back 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's why I say it's important from an economic standpoint to understand what each leader brings, what their goal is to do. You know, when I said socialist government leads to communism, if you really want to see what socialist governments look like that lead to communism, again, look at New York. Look at New York right now. It is falling apart. Have you been keeping up with any of that, Zay?
No, but I do remember our last conversation about how things were swaying with that, especially with a lot of their wealthier class leaving that area.
Yeah, it's happening. It is happening. And Mamdani is demanding X amount of dollars because they don't have the money to pay for what he promised that was free, right? And it's like, if you go into understanding this, there's nothing in life is free. Nothing. If it doesn't cost you a monetary form of payment, you're going to pay for it with life, right? You're going to pay for it with time. Time is a currency, right? So that's why I say, if you understand that, I can tell you, like, unless you want to be someone that's going to give somebody something out of the grace of your heart, right? Everything is going to cost.
Welcome to Independent Trading University at ITU. We're more than just an education platform. We're a community built to help you succeed. Trading can feel like a solo journey, but with ITU, you're never alone. Our team is here to support, guide, and push you toward mastery. Technical analysis support, so you can read the charts with precision. Fundamental support, so you understand market moving news and economics. Psychology support, so you can develop the mindset of a successful trader. We provide the tools you need to thrive: weekly live education, 24/7 community support, and real-time trading setups from experienced coaches. Wherever you are, access the education and mentorship that will transform your trading. Join ITU today and trade with confidence.
In past situations, no, my efforts, I was taken advantage of, right? Very, very badly. Now ask yourself, would a government ever be taken advantage of or allow themselves to be taken advantage of? No, not at all. So in that sense, can they give you something for free? Are they going to do it out of the goodness of their heart? No, they're not. So when you hear a politician saying free rides, free buses, free transit, low income homes, who is going to pay for any of that? And that's what we discussed, right? As like the logic wasn't there at all. He's only been in the seat for 3 months, 3 full months, and you should see all the backlash he's getting from everybody that voted for him. He's got everybody turning against him right now.
Yeah.
So, understand those things. Is like you might be able to decide for yourself, are things worth it? And you might say, hey, you know what? I got this. It's no big deal, right? The government will never, ever do that. So if the government is never going to do that and they hit you with a good program, there's probably likely going to be some form of sacrifice or downside for you as the recipient. You need to ask yourself what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
100%.
So why, in that case, it's like, why would you want the government to have a hand in the cookie jar at all, let alone a bigger one? Right? So unfortunately, I don't want to say unfortunately, because that makes, I think, us look lazy if I say unfortunately. So I'm gonna take that away. So what I will say is, in a capitalist government where you run your own businesses, people take care of themselves, right? You have production and contributions to society that are actually positive and used correctly. I would rather something like that give me, again, the choice. If I want to be a bum on the street and I don't want to contribute, then let me be that choice. Don't sit there and make me become that, because you're hurting the dollar that's going into my pocket.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Give me the choice to open up my business, or like, and with that sacrifice, there comes a lot of time and a lot of money, right? But I feel like we've become such a custom of some of these benefits that it's just made a lazy society. Yeah, an absolute lazy society. And then it's not only lazy, but it's confused to a point, right? Because nobody understands what's actually going on. They just follow what they see on TV. I can't tell you how many times people are like, if I say, okay, well, in a conversation, give me 5 things that a socialist government is benefit for. People don't even really understand what socialist means. And it's like, all right, so do you know what socialism leads to? No, it's a bunch of stuttering. Okay, so then I revert all the way back. Where did you hear about this government? You want to call a fascist government? Oh, I heard about it on CNN. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's what happens when you have a society that you have so disconnected, so distracted with what's going on social media, or they've got work, the kids, they're busy, and then I got to watch my favorite shows. These one-off news 30-minute segments is all they have to base an idea on to even try to bring to the table.
Right. Absolutely. Do you ever watch the show The Pit?
The Pit?
Yeah,
No, I don't think I've ever seen it.
it's really good. It's
Yeah.
really good. Did you ever watch the show ER when it was
Yeah,
on TV?
a little bit.
Okay, so the young doctor that was in that was
Hmm.
played by Noah Wiley. He kind of stayed in the same thing, but it's the same guy who's the main character in The Pit. It's on HBO Max. It's about a Pittsburgh hospital, right, in their ER department, and each season is one full day. So like each hour long episode is like an hour within the time, right? And I'm sitting here watching this. I'm watching it. I'm like, all right, well, this is good. This is a good show. And then we get to the last two episodes that are in season two. And you can see the political push that's on there.
Mm.
They literally had a girl come in to the ER who had a banged up shoulder. And she was brought in by none other than ICE.
Wow.
Covered the guy's face, right? All of a sudden, you had some of the doctors just and some of the people in the waiting room just up and leave, right? Because they don't want to have anything to do with ICE or they're afraid of ICE. One of the doctors, they confirmed that this lady was okay, that she just had a sprained shoulder. So they go and grab the lady to take her out, and a doctor gets involved, and then he gets arrested, right? It's like, yo, this is exactly what they want ICE to be portrayed as, right? And it's crazy because as part of mainstream media, this show is an Emmy award-winning show. They know people watch it. But they also know, like, that's what I'm saying, is like they use that shit and like
Propaganda, right?
as a tactic. Yeah, it's as a tactic. So it's like it's nuts. Oh, by the way, US 30 is up almost 800 points.
Jesus. I'm
Japanese
here.
65 is almost up 2,000.
I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna follow my
Well,
plan.
we know that it's not going to last this long. It's gonna
No, 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 no.
it's
We
gonna
know market open tomorrow will really be like,
it'll hit 47,700 and then
mhm.
pull back down a little
Now,
bit.
lastly,
Yeah, talk about a move.
I do
Yep.
want to bring this to your attention. You may already be aware we talked about AI's position as far as affecting the job market, right? Now we're at a point where a lot of white collar jobs are now getting that replacement level. And that sets a tone at a higher level due to their positioning of being in company stocks. So if they're getting let go, they're taking their stocks with them. They've got to keep up with their mortgages and housing. So that's going to affect the housing market just as well. What are your thoughts on that? And then for the foreseeable, I mean, we know we've had this conversation before, but should more and more people position themselves in self-employment, in owning a business, if that's at the helm right now?
All right, so AI and like where it's at and like how it's affecting the economy.
Yeah, and these heavy job losses, not just now it's not like the local level where it's just like your local McDonald's. So we're talking like big white collar companies that are in offices aren't needed as much anymore.
Well, the way that I kind of I foresee some of the stuff happening is of course, they're going to introduce AI into a lot of this.
Hmm.
What will be found out, and it's not going to be learned until probably afterwards, because there's going to be a mass market change. We know that. We know that there's going to be a huge job market change, right?
Yeah.
In general, is that you can't substitute the human mind for anything, right? there's always got to be the human perspective or the human touch to things, right? AI can only be so good because it's programmed by humans. And granted, it's going to end up having, like, you're going to see things that are going to end up growing their own knowledge as computers, right? Where it is artificial intelligence that is increasing, right? But there has to be some form of, damn, we're over 900 points on it now. It's pushing for 1,000. Right now would probably be a good time to actually put in a quick little sell. Because this hour's about to close in here in like 30 seconds. So where was I? Oh, so the human element just for checking work needs to be had, right? Yeah, people are going to lose jobs, right? But it's like, how many people are you going to need to monitor each AI item, I guess? Like, if you're talking about production, you got 10 machines doing production of what a normal human would do, right? It can just work around the clock, period. Well, someone's going to have to check that, or do you have one person per, right? If you have one person per machine, jobs aren't going to necessarily be affected that much because you're still going to be hiring the same amount of machines as you're going to be hiring people.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, where it hurts is if you consolidate that and say all 10 machines are going to be ran by one person.
I think that's where it's really going to go.
And it could. It could. I would think that would be the case, maybe because of the fact, because there still needs to be a human element, but there's always going to be a financial save in this, and that's where the save comes.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pay 9 other employees. You know what I mean? You only pay the one to do 10.
Right. And keep production the same, if not higher.
So here's my question to that, though, is why are we so worried about it? If there's so much out there that could be done from an AI perspective, if those other 9 people find the same position that they had within another company, okay, if one of those 9 people go get a job, now you got 8 that are left over. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What's to stop those 8 individuals from doing their own thing and making a production, understanding how that goes, but making their own production line?
Yep.
For doing their own thing. Or if you're so interested in it, why don't you go and create your own AI robot?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's where, again, here we come. All the way full circle. The choice. I have a choice to get on board, and I have a choice to do something that is creative, or I can just sit here and I can just let all these jobs pass me by. Now, guess what happens in a communist government? Can't do that. There's no choices. But guess what happens in a capitalist government? You have your choices. You have the opportunity. Why not go that route? Oh, because it's too hard. I'd rather have the government pay my bills. Oh, sorry. That's not how this thing works, buddy.
And them days of doing that are quickly going out of the window. So you've got to adapt to the current marketplace if you want to have a seat at the table.
Right. Right. But it's like, what is to stop any individual from doing any of that? There's nothing to stop. There's nothing that, like, so I would say, if anything, to summarize it all, is okay, it's up to you to decide what, you know what I'm saying, like how this goes. Is it going to affect the economy? I don't know. Do you want to do something about it or not? If not, then yeah, it's going to affect our economy. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. 100%.
If you don't decide, then yeah, you're going to really hurt everybody else. You can either choose to be more productive or you can choose not to be. But you still have the choice. And I'd rather have a choice than anything at the end of the day.
It's fine. Yeah, we gotta be able to keep our options open, especially as American citizens, having that choice to be able to decide, you know, how I need to pivot, what I need to do, and what tools I need to acquire, what skill sets I need to acquire right now to put myself in position. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting for a handout that's never going to come. I mean, the only thing you might have on the horizon, which is going to be very minimal, is the UBI. And, you know, that's already being implemented in many locations, even in the States. You know, about a year or two ago, we were just talking London. Now it's on this side of the house. So that is one area to look out for.
You know, the interesting thing is, like, what is it that nobody's talking about right now?
Nothing comes to mind.
Crypto.
Oh, yeah, that
As
should be
weird as
booming.
that should be. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not.
yeah,
Maybe on the month over month, like we're looking at right now, like I'm looking at Bitcoin on the monthly, and yeah, we're bullish for the month. And we might have this month and we might have May, but we always know June is a bearish month, right?
well, we're
So
starting to see reactions to a lot more now to these fundamental happenings, right? These economic turns and shifts. I think crypto is going to be getting in alignment with the rest of the economy here soon.
the one thing that's going to end that and is going to have everything boom is Iran joining the central banking system.
Yeah, yeah,
So I've told people, like, hey, when is my crypto going up? When is my crypto going up? What's happening with my crypto? Blame Iran. Try and get Iran to get on the central banking system, and all this stuff will end.
right.
I promise you. But, they can't say that. That's the thing. They can't say that. They have to just make it into something that's worse than what it is, of course. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right. And those that are
Or
paying attention are going to be able to capitalize.
that, understanding and asking the questions, like, if this, then this, right? Ask yourself if then questions.
Mhm.
If this happens, then this will happen. If this goes up, then this will happen. If this goes down, then this will happen, right? Then you can start predicting everything.
Yeah, yeah,
So, like, people are like, well, how long is this stuff going to last for? I mean, as far as Bitcoin, I told people, like, don't go buy it until after the next bearish move,
right.
right? Because after the next bearish move, which right now we're on a pullback, a bullish pullback, right? Once that next bearish move happens and we have another push down, things will start showing.
Right.
And it's going to hit certain prices that you really want to buy at.
Yeah.
But do you want to buy? Wait till you hear things like Iran in the central banking system and pay attention to that stuff.
You want decent higher time frame closes on your dailies, on your weeklies, because those will be shifters for sure. And then paying attention to where that higher time frame RSI is at will put you in a good place as well.
Yeah.
You'll know the strength is lost from the bears.
It's
So
crazy. We're sitting at if I'm looking at Bitcoin right now, and I haven't done this yet because there's that 50 measurement line that I put on the RSI, and we are below that, but it's crazy because on the monthly, that bearish push over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months before March closed out as a doji,
mhm.
right? So what, February, January, December, November, October? That drop barely went underneath the 50 mark on the RSI. So now that it broke, it's retesting that 50 mark and it's coming back up just slightly. But if it decides to reject and continue going down to 20 to 25 zone that's on the RSI and we go oversold, that shit is not going to be pretty.
Yep.
And I would hate for people to go and buy things right now when literally it's just going to have one more major push down.
Yeah. So I have to really pay attention, man. Pay attention to what's happening. Don't get lost in the nonsense that you'll hear throughout the news, because the environment, like we said, it's in a place to where things can go left and things can go right. So we really need some solidifications, I think, in the next 2 weeks.
There goes the actual announcement right there. I just saw it on Yahoo. President Trump says he's agreed to suspend bombing and attack of Iran for 2 weeks.
Wow. There you go. There you go.
I mean, we can't make this up, bro.
Yeah,
we
right.
can't make this up. We literally just said,
Just
like when he said, we were gonna do something within 5 days, and then 11th hour he didn't do it. Today was the 48th hour, and at the last second he decided, oh, I'm not gonna do it. I'll put it off for 2 weeks.
That's put in the off hours, right? 160 million worth of shorts liquidated from the crypto market following the ceasefire. And Iran officially accepts a 2-week ceasefire with U.S. and Israel. Look at that, man, right here. This evening, all this happened. So
It was just called. That whole thing, that whole
Yep.
move was literally just called while we did this.
This is amazing.
I'm glad we did it at this time because people can see the perfect example of how to read Trump's market because you just read it right in front of you guys.
Clear as day. Clear as day. And we knew earlier, I mean, we talked about this in the New York session this morning. Hey, man, if they don't follow through with this tonight, it's going to be a straight ride back up top.
But see, that's the thing. Like, it's not if, it's when he doesn't, because he never goes through it. He never goes through with any of it. If he does decide to go through with something like that, then we're at a major, major crossroads. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
sales tactics, man. That's what we're seeing right in front of us from a political point of view.
Exactly. And it's funny because I'm looking at the DXY, right? I think I posted this back in the Discord a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago.
A week or two ago, we talked about it not breaking that 100 mark, struggling to break that 100. Yeah. And
it's sitting, like, if you look at it, there was a bearish drop from, what was it, February? There's a bearish drop, and we're sitting here, February of 25.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bearish drop of February, March, April, May, and June of 25. And then it's just been sitting in like a consolidation, right?
Yep.
On the monthly.
Yep.
It's creating a bearish flag. The DXY is about to drop. It is about to drop, and it's about to go down. Literally.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
I look at that when I'm looking at it from a supply and demand standpoint. More supply, baby.
More business supply, is back up. More supply. Business is back up.
Exactly. The more supply in this route with not having to print money off. This is so important to understand, right? Because we're talking about high prices and comparing Biden to Trump, right? And let's continue to do these comparisons real quick. And I know we'll hop off right after this. I just want people to know this, right? Biden printed off money because of COVID. He allowed it. They printed off. Because they introduced new money into the market, right? That makes inflation go up because it's not the circulating market that it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more added to it. And the more that gets added to it, the more that has to be paid back. Boom, got it. Cool. Inflation goes up. I would bet CPI, what is it? Is this Friday?
Yep.
I bet CPI drops. In fact, it's going to be crazy. It's the expectation of CPI is actually going to be going up, and up quite a bit. I don't believe that's going to happen. And if that doesn't happen Friday, we're going to see a massive drop on the DXY, and it might break that flag that's on the monthly, right? So if we're able to start getting people to use their own currencies to settle in US dollars, and that drives up our supply rather than print it off, that is huge. That is huge because the supply not being, that's when you're going to start getting lower rates. That's when you're going to start seeing CPI coming down. That's where you're going to start seeing the ease off of certain things. Once employment goes up, you're going to start seeing the Fed rate coming down way far. So now that we had this massive month of almost 3 times the amount of people in March that got hired compared to February, right? Then we can start seeing productivity going up as well. So GDP is on its turn. CPI could be on its turn, along with employment on its turn on the way up. And if that's the case, my question to everybody is, what is so bad about that? What is so bad about that?
Right.
There's nothing bad with that. X out your feelings.
How did it really affect things? How did it really, mess with your pockets at home? How did it mess with how we living over here? And the things looking good just off of what we talked about tonight and what we've seen happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. Crazy. Can't make this stuff up.
Hey, man. That is amazing. You guys heard it here. It's just been a great episode. We got tonight just tap in to what we've had to deal with thus far the last few months, but just as much so, man, how things are already setting a tone for what's next, which is really good information and really quality. So, Mike, appreciate your time, brother. When you can come and tap in with us every time, man, it's always great conversation with us. And for those of you out there in YouTube land, look, if this is quality to you, man, and you've learned something, you're able to take this information and make some smart maneuvers. Please like, subscribe, comment. One, it helps us reach more and more people that need to hear this kind of information that can put them in position, especially with some of these employment fears that might be on the horizon and that we've dealt with. And let's set set the tone so everybody can be in a great position going forward. Because I really think this whole ship is about to turn around, and it's going to be great to see for the U.S. economy.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, 100%.
For sure.
100%.
All right, my brother. I will catch you in the next one. And students, I'll see y'all tonight.
Peace.
Later.